Hello and welcome. Tonight we are just kind of playing around again with the idea of starting out in the beginning areas of a couple of MMOs and kind of facing them off each other and seeing which one I'd be more likely personally to play or be interested in. Now, full disclosure, World of Warcraft and adjust the volume just a tiny bit. There we go. World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2 are the two games we're going to be looking at tonight, and they're the two games that I have put a decent amount of time in, so I know a little bit more of what I'm talking about in these games. Going back to last night's video with Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, there was an individual on YouTube who called me out, and I appreciate it completely that he did. His name was Beast Bowen, and he made a point to point out that he's played both Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, and he says that while I was right in my assumption that Fallout 76 is definitely a lot less MMO focused than Elder Scrolls Online, there were a lot of details I got wrong. A lot of details like how the armor works in ESO. I assumed that heavy armor would make you slow down or weigh you down. Doesn't work like that. Apparently it just adds additional stats to your stamina and stuff like that. So it's things like that that I just don't know after just an hour of looking into the game. I'm just going off of first impressions and guessing how things work later on in the game. So that's my fault for making guesses and assumptions on things like that. But then when people out there know better, I appreciate the tips and I appreciate you letting me know. Because he also pointed out in Fallout 76 that a lot of the complaints that I had about the game in that first hour playing it actually improve a lot as you get further into the game. One, the VAT system does actually start working in a way that you can unlock the ability to use it and target specific body parts. Like I was saying, was kind of disappointing it wasn't in there. Apparently that's something that you can unlock later. So I didn't know that after only playing an hour of the game, and that's pretty cool to find out that you can do that. The other thing he mentioned about Fallout 76 is you can actually customize the weapons too, which is another thing I said I was a little disappointed in seeing. So that's cool to find that stuff out. That's why I do these videos, is because the first impression of the first hour of the game is for me. Like, it's for me to figure out if I would be interested in playing any of these games, because that's why I'm doing it, is because I've been craving an MMO, but I don't know which one to go into and play. So I'm doing a 1 hour, just first impression, see how the game makes me feel, see if it's something I'd go back to. Now, it is good for viewers too, because you guys can kind of see what the first hour of the game looks like. You can see some of the gameplay, some of the things that the game has and doesn't have compared to each other. And then if you find one you want to dive deeper into yourself and experience more of it, then I definitely suggest you do it. But for me personally, this is totally just for me to get my toe dipped in the water a little bit in these games and get a first impression on how it plays at the beginning and how the very first hour impression of the game makes me think the game's going to be from that point on. Now, again, a lot of things in the first hour aren't going to be true later on in the game. And if anybody out there knows that about a game, and maybe there's a first impression that I'm kind of negative about and not really liking about the game and it turns me off, let me know. Like Beast Bowen did. And you never know, maybe one of the things that you point out that I'm wrong about on my first impression would actually make me turn around and say, you know what, maybe I should give that game another chance. Because he did actually make a lot of the things I didn't like about Fallout 76 clarified that a lot of those things do change as you get further into the game, so that is pretty cool. That being said, these two games, World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2, are the two I actually am a little bit familiar with beyond just the beginning of it, because I have played them. World of Warcraft I probably played for a good year at one point, got all the way up to the max level in Mists of Pandaria expansion, but didn't play anything beyond that because honestly I got a little burned out on it. And then Guild Wars 2, I've only played maybe, I'd say 10 hours of it. I've gotten almost halfway through one of the characters' stories, but we'll get back to that when we look at Guild Wars 2. So, one thing I do like about World of Warcraft specifically is the way it separates, like, the Alliance and the Horde. Now, I've never played an Alliance character. I'll openly admit that they do have cool-looking characters, like I like the Draenei and the Worgen. I've always been kind of fascinated by them, but I started as a Horde when I played World of Warcraft, and I played the Tauren up to, I think, like, level 40. I played a Goblin up to the max level in Mists of Pandaria. And once you go one way or the other, Alliance or Horde, Can't go back. So I'm not going to play an Alliance character tonight, or refuse to. Or the Horde all the way. Now, I will consider playing Panda Boy, because I think I started a character, but I never even got out of his starting area. That being said, out of the Tauren and the Goblin, the starting area between the two I liked the most was definitely the Goblin. So we're just going to make a real quick choice here. Panda or Goblin, Panda or Goblin. I'm going to go Panda. I'm not as familiar with the Panda as I am the Goblin. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Monk, because that's kind of like their innate class anyway, is their monks. So let's go here, we'll customize. We're not going to do too much customization, because again, we're just doing this for the sole purpose of experiencing the first hour of the game, getting a first impression. Now that being said, with the games that I have played, because I did say I did play Elder Scrolls Online for a little bit, you have to realize that these games that I did play in the past, I've literally haven't played them in years. So I might not remember any detail of the game in the minute sense, but I will remember some of the major points of gameplay, how the game's story has played out over time, stuff like that. But if I screw up anything in like the minutia of how armor works or how weapons work, it's literally just because I don't remember and I'm trying to go off of what I think I remember. And if I'm just a big dumb dummy, just feel free to call me out on it and correct me. It's what it's all about. I don't take any offense to someone calling me out to the carpet and correcting me. I appreciate it, actually. The more community interaction, the better. Let's see, what kind of facial hair do we want this dude to have? That's pretty cool. That name is unavailable. That's probably a name I've already used. Okay, let's do Bubby Roosk. Okay, so the interesting thing about how World of Warcraft deals with the story, because again, I'm a real story-focused gamer. I like to focus on the story in a game when I'm playing it, is World of Warcraft as a game has been out for 16 years. It has 6 major expansions to the game, adding content to it. And there's another expansion coming out at the end of this year called Shadowlands. Some expansions have been more successful than others. The last couple expansions, Legion and Battle for Azeroth, haven't had very good critical reception. So needless to say, it hasn't really begged me to come back and revisit the game. But the one that's coming out now, the Shadowlands one, does actually sound pretty cool, and that's why I'm kind of interested to play this a little bit more tonight and just get a feel for it. Now, first thing you might realize if you've never played or seen World of Warcraft before is the art style. It's kind of cartoony, but the good thing about that is the game is...
As one of the most promising of students at Master Shang's monastery, you may just be the salvation for your people. But first, you must complete your training.
So the game is 16 years old, but because of the cartoony graphics that it had from the get-go, they've aged really well. So some of the newer content, like Pandaria and the Panda characters themselves, look a lot better than the older areas of the game. But they have done graphical upgrades on the character models and some of the textures in the game since it came out. They just did an upgrade a few years ago, like 6 years ago, I think, with the Mist of Pandaria expansion, I think, if I remember correctly. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. But they did like a big character model upgrade, so all the character model upgrades do look better than they used to. So it's the starting area of the game is how they handle your personal character class's story. So I'm a panda, so I'm training at this monk, kind of like a Shaolin temple kind of area, and he just said, you know, you have to prove yourself through training to be able to go and fight for your people. Now, all of the story in World of Warcraft is essentially done this way. When you do your quest, it comes with, you know, sometimes it's pages and pages of words that you can read, sometimes it's just a little paragraph like this. Lesson of the Iron Bow. First, you will need a weapon suited to your talents. Retrieve a pair of fist weapons from one of the weapon racks below. Bring them to me and show me what you know how to equip them properly. So, in opposition to like Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, or some of the newer MMOs, even Star Wars Old Republic, that have like voiced quests, this was made back in a time where you didn't really have voice over RPGs done very often. 16 years ago is a long time in gaming. So all of the quest lines in the game are really text driven. Right click to loot glowing quest objects. Ooh, I want to loot it. New weapon, open. Press B to open your bag. B for bag. Right click to equip. Press C to view your equipped items. Here's the item you equipped. This is actually a really good tutorial. Like, I don't remember the beginning of the game being this involved as far as explaining exactly how to do things. Apparently it gave me a present. Let's unwrap it. Oh yeah. A pretty cool mount. So I do have... You have no valid favorite mounts. So I do have my old characters, but because I haven't played in so long, they're actually like... I would have to resurrect them. That's how WoW's system works, is if you don't play with the character for so long, the character is almost kind of wiped off their server. You can't even access it. The only reason I can even access my account now is because the game's free to play up to level 30 now for any class. So you can start the game and play any class you want all the way up to level 30. But unless I start my subscription again, and WoW's subscription is, I believe, $15 a month still, I can't access any of my old characters that I used to play as. I can only access new characters. But it gave me a mount. Now, I don't know if that's just a present everybody who plays the game gets, or if it's a present I got from playing Hearthstone on the same account. This is my Blizzard account. I have played Hearthstone on it before. Where? Oh, I have to get 2 hand wraps. That makes sense. I have 2 hands. Okay. Let's get these. Okay. So those are apparently my weapons, because I'm a Shaolin monk. My hands are my weapons. Yeah, one-hand fist weapon. I did. It says loot and equip a second trainee's hand wrap. I did. Uh-oh. What's happening? That'd be a shame if we got stuck this quick. Well, that might be the end of our first look of World of Warcraft. What is happening? Unequip that. Unequip it. Get out of here. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Well. Blizzard, you might want to check out the Pandaria starting area. Apparently it has a glitch. Apparently it has a glitch, Blizzard. You cannot successfully loot and equip a second trainee's hand wrap. Do this. Let's get this out of here. This out of here. Try again. So what I was saying about the story is, like, there is a overarching story for World of Warcraft that is like the big overarching world story. And it's the same story every single character experiences as you play through the expansions. But at the beginning of the game, you have a starting area that is specific to your class, and every player who plays as that class will experience this starter story, but it is a story independent of other classes. Whereas as soon as you get out to the main world of the game, everybody experiences the same world, the same overarching story for the game. Now, one thing that's interesting to that is there's literally so much content in, yeah, it's literally not going to let me finish the very first quest of the game. There's literally so much content in the game that you could play this game for, there we go, okay. There we go, alright. You can play this game for years and years and not see every quest in the game. And that's one of the things I like about the world in this game, is each quest line you do is almost its own separate story. So,
you pass,
find weapon, it should suit your needs well. Complete the quest. So this is considered like the classic MMO. World of Warcraft is like the first really huge MMO to take off, so they're kind of like what everybody else bases their game off of, and what they try to one-up. Nobody's really successfully one-upped it yet. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2. It's because the original Guild Wars actually came out around the same time that World of Warcraft did. And to this date, a lot of people consider Guild Wars 2 to be as close to a real WoW competitor as any of the other MMOs out there. And there are some things that WoW does better, and there's some things that Guild Wars 2 does better. But personally, I like both of them a lot. The lesson of the Sandy Fist, I'd like to observe you putting your new weapon to use, my young student. This will aid me in determining what degree of training will be best suited to your talents. You have many training targets in the training grounds below. Practice your attacks upon them and return to me once you're feeling comfortable with your new weapon. And I'll receive new bracers. Ooh. So, left click yeah, so this is a really good tutorial. Like, back when I played, I don't think it was quite this detailed. It literally just walks you through step by step how to play the game. Press 1 to attack the creature with Tiger Paw. So the way WoW works is it's very classic RPG MMO. You auto attack if you're close enough. Your character will just keep auto attacking. But then you can also mix in your skills, which is where the main damage comes in, or the main whatever your character does comes in. So your character could be a healer, your character could be a tank, your character could be DPS. But your skills is where most of your main abilities are going to come from. Your auto attack typically doesn't do a whole lot, and you can't really rely on just it. You're always going to have to use your skills with it. And obviously, as you level up in the game, you unlock more skills. As you level up in this game, you unlock all different kinds of things. You have to get to a certain level before you can use mounts. You have to get to a certain level before you can use pet battling, which is a thing in this game. You can actually collect, train, and battle pets with other players. It was really big during the Mists of Pandaria expansion because that's where they introduced it, but I don't know if very many people still do it. But you can see there are already a lot of people in the beginning area for just this little instanced area, and it's very, very tiny. Like, it's a very tiny zone, and there's already a lot of new players here. So it's definitely still very much alive. There's a lot of rumors out there where people say that, like, World of Warcraft is dying. It's not really the case. There's tons of people playing this game. Facing a living opponent is a very different thing from the stationary target in the yard. Living opponents strike back. There's a very real fear of failure and sometimes even death. You must have the courage to overcome those fears. Challenge the other trainees within the temple or down the steps below and defeat them. Beat 6 Hoijin trainees or Tushi trainees. Let's click here to accept the quest. So yeah, this is a really good tutorial. Like, out of all the MMOs we've played so far, I'd say this is definitely the best introduction to how to play the game. Which makes sense, because WoW is good at what they do. But I think this is something they added in, because I really don't recall the game being this detailed in the hand-holding of the... See, look, there's so many players here. You have to find somebody who isn't already taken.
I cannot attack that.
Nope, somebody already got him. Or he's running. There we go. So one thing... So yeah, these bars show you your health and energy. So... different classes in the game require different kinds of energy to cast. Some will use magic, some will use chi, like the monks. And chi is a new feature that was introduced with the Pandarian characters. And as you level up, you unlock different skills that you can combo. So there will be skills that will build your chi, that will allow you to use other skills that require chi, and it's just a typical MMO, what's the word I'm looking for? Skill casting combos, where you can just kind of like roll from one combo, one skill to another, and they'll just kind of, one will improve another, or one will unlock the ability to use another, just standard kind of skill-based combat, healing, everything. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to concentrate. As much as I know I'm not going to die, I'm trying to make sure I don't die, because that would be embarrassing. In the very starter baby section to die. So you hover over any of your skills and it will tell you exactly what it is. Quaking Palm strikes the target with lightning speed, incapacitating them for 4 seconds. So we'll try that and see what it does. I'm too lazy to reach over to the 0 button, so let me just use my mouse.
I need a target.
So that's actually a way to, like, cool off the aggro. So it says it incapacitates them for 4 seconds and turns off your auto attack. So if you're in trouble and you're going to lose a fight, you could potentially use that to stun an enemy and then leave and see if you can get far enough away to lose the aggro.
My time.
Now, I don't even think we're going to get out of the starting area tonight, because I think you have to get to level 10 to get out of the starting area to get to the main world. And I don't know if we're going to achieve that or not, but we'll see. Intriguing, my young pupil. Most of the other trainees have been here for quite some time, but you were able to match them even within this first hour. This speaks well of you, but there are yet other lessons I would see you learn. So again, this is like a little personal story that your class goes through that no other classes will share. Every class has their own individual story, like the Goblin story. You're all engineers, and you're all trying to like figure out how to make all of these different contraptions. And in order to get off of your little Goblin Island and get to the main world of the game, the last quest is actually building like a rocket. You like rocket yourself up into the sky and you crash land on in the main map, which is pretty funny. That's one of my favorite starting zones. The lesson of the burning scroll. Every wisdom has a time and place, and times are changing for those of us living here on Shenzhen Zoo. For this lesson, I would ask two things of you. For the first, I held a flame in my hand. Gather your wits, and when you think you are ready, attempt to snatch it. If you succeed, I want you to then climb to the top of this temple and burn the Edict of Temperance that you find there. Snatch the flame from Master Shangzi's palm, then burn the Edict of Temperance. Snatch it. Snatch it. Let me snatch it.
Forget injuries.
There will come times when you must trust your instincts and simply act. So... Oh, apparently I already got the Master's Flame. Yep, it's right there. Hold the Master's Flame in your hand. Equip all of our new stuff. So that is another thing I do like about this game, is the armor actually is real-time displayed on your character and changes how your character looks. Some of the MMOs and RPGs I play don't do that, or have played don't do that, and it's really disappointing. Like, I always like when you pick up new armor, it actually changes how your character looks. We have to go through the building. So another thing to touch on about the story is once you're out of this starting zone, the story is shared between everybody. Every quest line is doable by everybody. Obviously, the Alliance and the Horde being opposite factions that are fighting each other in the story. If you're one, it's kind of hard to do the quest lines for the other. So if you really want to see everything the game has, you have to kind of create a character from each side, the Horde and the Alliance, because it is possible to go into Alliance territory as a Horde character and do the quest, but the entire time you're there, you're just going to get attacked and killed, so it makes it a little difficult. Where am I going? Burn the Edict of Temperance. Did I miss it? Alright, I'm trying to talk and play at the same time. Never goes well for me. But the cool thing is the game does have, and usually leading up to expansions, the game does have like epic world events where in one expansion, I can't remember which one it was, like everybody had to join forces and kill this big boss, this world boss, which they have world bosses on each section of the map that spawn at certain intervals of time, where it requires a lot of people in the map to work together to kill the world boss, and everybody gets experience and loot from it. But there was a particular expansion, I can't remember which one it was, where you actually had to join up forces with every other player in the game, or every other player on your server, and kill this main boss who was blocking the doorway into the new game area. And like after they killed the main boss, the door opened and then it unlocked the ability to get into the expansion content and stuff like that's really cool. But one of the biggest ones that really impressed me, and this was before I even started playing that it happened, there was an expansion, Cataclysm, and the story behind that expansion was a big dragon got loose and started terrorizing the world. And in the process of getting into that content, it actually changed the world map of the game permanently, because a dragon got loose and burned and ransacked whole sections of the map that were just completely altered from that point on forever. And that stuff is really cool, and not a lot of MMOs do that. Like Elder Scrolls Online had those portals that open up and enemies come down, which we didn't actually see when I did my hour first impression, but they're like their version of world events, and it's just like randomly spawned things that happen, but it doesn't really permanently change the game at all. Whereas World of Warcraft has like a big world of events that actually like permanently change the landscape, change what's accessible in the game. And that massive sprawling story that continues throughout the 16 years it's been out with every new expansion is really cool to me. That they force the world of the players, like the whole collection of players on each server to join up together to occasionally unlock or beat a massive boss in order to move the story forward. Now that being said, let's read this real quick. The Lesson of the Burning Scroll. The fact that you were able to snatch the flame so easily is no small feat. The Edict of Temperance is a scroll of wisdom passed down from my elders, wisdom from a more peaceful time. Every lesson has its time and place. With darkness on the horizon, the time for this particular wisdom has passed. The burning of the scroll is an acceptance of tidings to come and promise to action. Your hand carried the flame, and I suspect that it will continue to do so in the future. So that being said, the main overarching story of the game has cutscenes and stuff, like right before main dungeons and raids, and after main dungeons and raid bosses are killed, there are cutscenes. But in between that, while you're just going out and questing, these are the stories, like the individual things that the quest givers give you, or how the stories work. Goon King Ryan, thanks for the raid, I appreciate it. Awesome, I definitely appreciate that. Thanks for joining, guys. This is going to be a little bit of a slower paced stream because we're looking at a couple of MMOs. Joke Foxtrot, welcome. Renanners, welcome. And Goon King Ryan, welcome. I appreciate the raid, definitely. Thanks for stopping by. But as I was just explaining, Lightning Matt, well, I was just going over, oh, I've been alright. How have you been, Goon King? I was going over how the story in World of Warcraft works, and it is an overarching story overall connected with all the expansions, but then each individual quest giver is almost like its own mini-story. And personally, in the past when I was playing, my favorite place in the whole game was a desert called Uldum, I think is what it's called. Uldum. And it's a desert that kind of like mimics the aesthetic style of like ancient Egypt with like pharaoh temples and stuff like that. And for some reason I just really liked the little mini quest line that happened there because it followed you as almost like an Indiana Jones character. Like you had to go into the different temples and stuff in the desert in Uldum and like look for different ancient artifacts and bring them back to this guy named Harrison Jones, which was supposed to be like a mixture between Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. And it was a really cool storyline, and it was probably one of my favorite stories in the game. And it's just a random mini quest line that you could not even, you might never even stumble on the entire time you're playing the game. So yeah, World of Warcraft lore, yeah. So it's really cool. I like the way they do the stories because the overarching story that goes from expansion to expansion, I don't think most people even really pay attention to it. Like, they just go do the dungeons and the raids, and nobody really knows how the story works throughout from start to finish. But it's the little tiny mini stories that you stumble on in the open world of the game that I really like, because you can actually do a full story. Like, you can start a quest line, like the Uldum quest line. Yeah, had the Indiana Jones story, it was Pog. Yeah, definitely, it was my favorite story I found. But then you, like, start that quest line, and like it will level you up like 2 or 3 levels for your character, and then it ends. So like you can do individual stories in the game and see the whole story from start to finish through, whereas the overarching story that goes through all the expansions, I don't think anybody really pays that much attention to. And at this point, a lot of the expansion content's older, so a lot of what has been seen in the story, like you can't go back and re-see, so some of it's kind of lost as a new player. So it's really just seeing and experiencing those mini quest-based stories that really gets me excited when I find a quest line I really enjoy the story behind. The Disciples Challenge. Bubby Roosk, I see great strength and great courage in you and unsurpassed purity of soul. The hour is young, but I think you may be ready to face a greater challenge. Go to the bottom of the stairs and cross the bridge. There you will find Yelman Rowe, one of our eldest students. Challenge and defeat him in honorable combat, and this first phase of your training will be complete. Initiate's Handguards. Bottom of the stairs and across the bridge. This time we'll actually pay attention so we know where we're going. But I did play World of Warcraft for about, I want to say like almost a year at one point, and got all the way through Mists of Pandaria, but then I just stopped playing because honestly I got a little burned out with the grind. And that is one of the downsides to this game in my opinion, is every single time a new expansion comes out, you can't just jump in with your character and like experience all of it. A lot of the stuff is kind of gated behind like item level and character level. So you'll be able to get into the map of the new area, but you won't be able to experience any of the dungeons or raids until you have a minimum item level. And in order to get that item level, you have to grind and grind and grind to improve your item level before you can actually get into the content. And that was one of the things that I kind of got tired of, honestly. After I played for so long, I was like, man, every single time new content comes out, I have to like re-level my character. It's almost like you start the treadmill over again. And I understand that's kind of the innate nature of these kinds of games, but that's one of the reasons we're going to look at Guild Wars 2 after this, is because Guild Wars 2 has its own way of doing that, which is way different. Like, you'll see when we play it, but Guild Wars 2 doesn't really gate stuff as much. If a new content expansion comes out, you can come back and play with the same character you had at the level you were at before the expansion came out and pretty much explore all of it. There's no gating any of your stuff, which is pretty cool. Lots of Easter eggs and fourth wall breaks and well, yeah, there really are. There's so much content. It's a 16-year-old game that just constantly has new content come out, so it's impossible to see everything. The Disciples Challenge, you truly impressed Bubby Roost. It seems certain that the path of the monk is indeed the path for you. And one thing to keep in mind with this game is, like, yeah, you can do questing to level up, and you can quest, and actually I played this game with a friend of mine when I was playing originally, and they got really tired of it because they didn't like questing. And for me, I enjoy the little tiny stories that are in the quest, so I would literally go through a map and try to do every single quest I could find, to the point where I was over-leveled for the area, because each area of the map in World of Warcraft will even be color-coded and tell you what level it suggests you are before you go to quest in that area. So what you're supposed to do, really, is once you hit, like, level 30, you're supposed to move on to another area of the map and start leveling in the 30 to 40 area. But I would literally stay behind way longer than I should have, just trying to experience all of the different stories and all of the different quests. But if you're not somebody who likes questing, you can also do like the PvP war zones. And in this game, they're kind of cool. They're not like super epic in scale, like Elder Scrolls Online's massive war zones where there's hundreds of people on the screen at a time. It's more like a deathmatch mode, where each team starts on a separate end of the map, and then the match starts, and you're all fighting to try and get to the center of the arena, and also trying to kill each other at the same time. And I actually enjoy the PvP, but a lot of people who play this for some reason don't like it. They give it like a really bad scathing remarks. Ice of the Tushui, in such a short time you've shown me that you have the potential to be a great monk. The training grounds are behind you, but now you must prove yourself by facing a far greater challenge, one that none of my students have accomplished. I want you to return Huo, the Spirit of Fire, to the Temple of Five Dawns. My two other most gifted students will help you in this task. The first is Asa Cloudsinger, seek her out at the pool to the west. Okay. To the west, which would be not that way. This way. So have a lot of you guys played World of Warcraft? I kind of missed it, like, I'm not gonna lie, but the downside is, like, that gated content, every time a new expansion comes out, I have to sit there and grind to get everything. Like, I just like to be able to go with the flow and just play things at my pace, not have to sit there and grind things over and over again for hours and hours and hours. Replay the same raids and the same dungeons to try and unlock higher item level. And also the monthly expansion, or the monthly subscription, is a bit of a turn-off at this rate too, with how many of the MMO games are going free to play. But it's impressive and good on them for being able to keep a subscription fee for 16 years with multiple millions of players. Like, that's pretty good. Obviously shows that a lot of people enjoy this game.
Tell me of your travels.
Came to ask the famous Asa Cloudsinger for help, but I just can't bring myself to intrude on her exercises. She's so poised, so practiced. I really love this tutorial section. Like, it literally holds your hand and just says, hey, if you've never played a MMO before, this is what you have to do. You came for Asa, you really shouldn't interrupt her until she finishes her exercise. She doesn't speak to anyone until her routine's done. In the meantime, could you maybe help me? I had some bad luck with the forest sprites. I came to ask the famous Asa... Oh, we already read that. Amberleaf scamps swarmed my cart and stole most of the training supplies I was bringing up to the training grounds. They've always been troublemakers, but they've never been this aggressive. I don't know what happened. Please help me recover my supplies. Okay. And you can do multiple quests at a time. It'll track all of them here, and you can just kind of click on whichever one you want to track at any given time. A driver went running off after the sprites just after they attacked. I don't think they'll really do him any harm, but I need him back to help clean up the mess. He chased them off towards the cliffs to the north. If you head that direction, you should find him quickly. So one of the reasons I like doing quests in this game specifically, and most RPGs and MMOs is like there's multiple paths to accomplish what you want to accomplish. The person that I played with before would go do raids and dungeons to get like really high level gear, but as I'm playing through the game, if I just do quest lines in the area, most likely eventually I will stumble on a quest that gives me a more powerful weapon or more powerful armor that will keep me leveled enough and powerful enough to keep going in the areas I'm playing in, and I won't have to go dungeoning or raiding to get more powerful drops from the bosses there, because eventually my quest will keep me leveled up and powerful enough to keep going at the rate I'm going. And that's something that I've always liked about the quest line in this game. They do really well is that, like, as you're questing, you will continue to get more armor, continue to get more weapons as rewards for the quest. Now, sometimes it goes a long time before you see that, because each quest has different rewards, and it's just dependent on which quest line you happen to stumble on, really. Killed him. So good.
I need to get closer.
This is a lot of what the questing is in this game. It's go out and kill so many of something, retrieve so many of something, and then come back. And that's kind of the typical MMO fare. Like, I haven't really seen too many MMOs that have more detailed or interesting quests. Sometimes there's like fetch quests like this. There's some escort missions where you're actually supposed to like protect a caravan as it's moving across the map, stuff like that. So they do mix it up. It's not always the same thing. Otherwise, after 16 years of playing fetch quests, I think everybody would get sick of it after a while. So both of my quests are ready for turn-in now, so it's going to show me where the quest giver is. Again, I'm not entirely sure we'll even make it out of the starting area and get to the main world, and sadly, because I don't keep my subscription up lately, I can't go to my higher level characters and show you what the main world's like. But maybe we'll play a little bit longer than normal to see if we can get out of the starting area. I'm actually kind of interested to see how many people are in the game proper. There's actually already a lot of players we've ran into in the starting area. We've ran into like probably a good 10 of them so far.
A challenge in compassion and humility. By helping merchant
You needn't worry about hurting the sprites. They're really just living plants when it comes down to it. They'll resprout later. That's good. I felt bad. Thank you. You're an honorable monk. They've taught you well. Missing driver. We're too kind.
Next one is on me.
Nice. I got a new cloak. I look so cool. So that's what I was mentioning earlier that I really like about this game is the armor shows up in real time. It reflects on your character. I've played some games where it doesn't do that, and it's always really disappointing. It's a pleasure to meet you, monk. I am Asa of the Tushui. I've spent much time and thought since Master Shang told me he would be searching for Huo, the Spirit of Fire. I know where he resides, but not how to reach him. The answers are close. Come with me to the Cave of Meditation nearby. It's a place of great wisdom. I will meditate there, open my mind, and the path shall find us. Sure.
Meet me up in the cave if you would, friend.
Okay. All the way up there? You crazy? I can't hop like that. Got major hops. Fat. Look at me. I'm chunky. Jump like 2 feet and 2 inches in the air. Now, the one thing I will say about this is this independent story that you have at the beginning in this starter area. I honestly kind of wish it was quicker. Like, it's cool to have your own independent story separate from everybody else, but it always seems to go on a little bit too long. Like the other players that I've played in the past, the Goblin and the Tauren, their starter areas were the same way. Like, they always seem to drag on a little bit longer than I'd like. But it is preparing you to how to do all the different things in the game before you get out to the real world and kind of fend for yourself. So it makes sense that they take their time.
Too far away.
And it is cool to experience your own little personal story apart from everybody else for a little bit. Because once you get out to the main world, you're all experiencing the same thing. There's really nothing independent anymore at that point, or unique to your personal experience. You have to protect her while she meditates. Don't interrupt her.
I need to get closer.
So again, obviously we're only going to be looking at like an hour, a little bit more than an hour as like a first impression of the game. It's not going to show you everything. We're not going to see dungeons and raids. And World of Warcraft is one of the very few MMOs out there that to this day still keeps their raids, like they're really serious hardcore raids that require like 20 people to work together. A lot of MMOs that are made now, like the more newer MMOs, kind of get rid of all that content. They just kind of do like dungeons for 5 players at a time, and that's about it. Path is set before you. You will be the one to rekindle the spirit of fire and bring it to the safety of the temple. This will not be the only time you and Asa work together. She is strong and wise. You can trust in her. Another of my most talented students is awaiting you in Wusong village to the northwest. He is of a different mind than Asa, but in their differences they bring balance to each other. G. Firepaw will instruct you on gathering the offerings for the spirit of fire. Trust in his wisdom. And this is just kind of generally how the game plays, really. I mean, outside of dungeons and raids and PvP, this is what you'll be doing the entire time. And if you choose to do questing as like your main way of leveling through the game. And honestly, like the aesthetics are really nice, the graphics are still really nice considering it's a 16-year-old game. I definitely don't mind them. They look really, really good. We might come back to this again because like I said, it is free to play up until level 30. So we might come back to this again and take another look at it at a later time just to get out of the starting zone and show you the rest of the game. Because it is a little bit non-committal to just play like the very first hour of an MMO, which is a thousands of hour long experience, and just be like, well, that's our first experience, that's all we're gonna do, or our first impression. And to be fair with World of Warcraft, I do like this game. Obviously, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have put in as much time as I did before playing all the way through Mist of Pandaria. And I would come back if Shadowlands is as good as people are hyping it up to be. I might consider coming back to it and playing it more. I do like it. Out of all the MMOs we've played so far and tried on the channel, this and Guild Wars 2 are definitely my 2 favorites. Hello, you look poised and confident. I like that. I've heard some rather impressive whispers about you from the training grounds. You're half as capable as they say. I think you and I are going to be good friends. We call those vicious monkeys swinging into town Hosen. They keep to themselves normally, but they know something bad is coming, so they're here to steal our supplies. In situations like this, a clear answer is the only answer. These monkeys will leave when we force them to leave. Not defend our town and those we love would be the only true crime. Thus is the way of the Hosen. We have to kill monkeys. Monkeys!
I am out of range.
Kill the monkeys. Kill the monkeys. Hey, there's one up here.
I need to get closer.
Crazy monkey. Ooh, level 5. I unlocked a new skill. Roll. Yeah. I would think that's more of a dodge move than a roll into battle. But I just wanted to test it out. Some money. Now you will be trying to collect money throughout the game too, because that's one of the main ways to get like mounts and stuff like that later on in the game. Either money or in each zone you get reputation tokens, and that's another way you can get some mounts in different zones. You can go to reputation vendors, and if your reputation is high enough and you have enough tokens, you can purchase special mounts
I am out of range
for every area of the game. And that is one of the things some people do in this game, is they just go and play it to collect mounts and see how many mounts they can get. There's just so many different things you can do because there's so much content in this game. If you get tired of questing, you can go mount hunting. If you get tired of mount hunting, you can go mining for materials. If you're tired of mining for materials, you can use the materials you mine to do crafting. Depending on what crafting level or what crafting specialty you choose, you can level it up and make your own mounts. You can build mounts, craft them. Like, there's so much stuff in this game, it's pretty cool. Oh no. I might actually lose. We're not gonna lose. Again, the tutorialization of the starting area is really well done. Like, it doesn't jump down your throat step by step telling you how to do everything, but it does remind you of everything as you're doing it.
It's good to see you.
Done some fighting you. I think I like you. I like you too, bud. I look so cool now with my new clothes. Now that that's done with, let's get to it then. Whoa, the spirit of fire hungers for dry dogwood root kindling. It grows among the trees south of the village. It should be easy enough for you to gather. Strange thing about wind, it can be hard to wrap your hands around. Best practice for me has been finding some sort of living wind. If it can punch you, you can punch it back and it won't slip through your grasp. Head over to the Shrine of the Summer Breeze to the south and summon just such a living wind using this windstone. Best it, gather a fluttering breeze from it, and come back over this way so we can figure out what's next. So you'll see as I'm doing these quests, I'm getting as rewards from these quest givers each different piece of armor. So I'm leveling up from my very starter armor to a little bit higher level armor to prepare me for going out to the regular world map.
I am out of range.
And 1 copper for my troubles. Music is really well done in World of Warcraft. Like, the production value of the game is obviously huge because, like I said earlier, it's a 16-year-old game where every player of the game pays a $15 a month fee to play. And of course, some people have gone on breaks like I have. I haven't played it in like 5 years, 6 years. But other people have literally just played it forever since the beginning of the game, and that's a lot of money. Millions of players paying $15 a month to play for a long duration of time gives them the ability to make really high production products. So I got my fluttering breeze, now I need to go to get dried dog root. Dried dog root. Dried dog root. Here's one. Yes, you attract the monkey so I can get the root. Yes. We worked together brilliantly. Now, if you were to start playing with another player, like another friend that you know, and you both played as the same starting character or starting race, you could play this entire area together, like teamed up. Or if you don't play as the same starting race, as long as you're in the same faction, so that's kind of the trick, is you can't really play with a friend who's Alliance if you're playing Horde. But as long as you both choose the same faction, or one of you is Pandarian, because they are neutral, once you get out of the starting area, you get to the main game, you can team up and level up through the game together. And you share experience as you're playing through the game, or you'll both get experience for everything you do together as you play through the game. And it actually makes leveling up a lot quicker, because you guys can accomplish a lot more together than you can as a single player playing through the game. Oop, ready for turn-in. Let's go. Bunny, get out of my way before I crush you. Foxes aren't aggroed on me. Look, the monkeys are fighting each other. What the heck? So disorganized in their attempt to steal our supplies. So this is another cool thing about this game, is like
I'm with you.
Kind of gets you to explore the map slowly by following the quest lines. So as you do the quest lines, it moves you further and further out in the map to explore more of the area. I hope you're not shy about getting your hands dirty. Rusk, you've returned, roots in hand. You're a down to business kind of guy, aren't you? I sure am. An opportunity arises, it's our responsibility to reach out and grab it. Second guessing is as good as giving up. You know what it is to seize opportunity. I think you and I are kindred spirits. I agree. Put my new boots on, so I'm looking snazzy.
Forget injury.
You've done very well this far, my student. You have the materials you need to rekindle Huo, the spirit of fire. In the cave to the southwest he awaits, but he is guarded by Master Li Fei, the Pandaren elder you met in the cave of meditation. Go to Master Li Fei with the offerings, prove yourself, and then meet with Huo. I think this is not even close to being done with the starter area still, and we're level 6. I might have been off by thinking that we were going to get out of here by level 10. But we'll play to level 10. And it seems like it's really quick leveling, like we haven't even played for an hour yet and we're level 6, but it slows to a crawl later on. Like once you get up to like level 30, it starts slowing down big time. Even before that, even past level 15, it starts getting pretty slow. The last time I played, they might have streamlined that a little bit since then. It has been a few years.
I need to target something first.
It was so quickly killed that I lost target on him. Shrine of Inner Light. So this is what I was talking about as far as the aesthetics in this game. Like, just exploring the map, there's so much cool stuff to see everywhere. Go, go, go. Ah! Biscuits are burning. Fire Spirit is upset. It's dangerous to enter the shrine now. Too bad.
You have the eyes.
Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. There's a path before you, but you choose the trials you will face and the trials you will overcome. You're strong of mind and strong of will, but you lack the skills to face me in combat. You must fight with your body, but in truth, it is your character that is being tested. Let us even the playing field. Take this torch, light it in the brazier next to me, and then use it to light the 3 unlit braziers around the pool.
Slow down. Life is
So we
to
light
be
it?
savored.
Like this. There is actually a big quest line in Pandaria once you're in the main game, like the full map of the game, where you have to do this stuff, and you have to like carry a torch up this winding path up a mountain to light the big cauldron on the top. But as you're going up the winding path, there's like gusts of wind that will blow at different intervals of time, and it will blow the fire out of your torch, and it took me forever to freaking do that quest. I had to do it like 15 times before I finally did it. These fires will give you the strength that you've not yet obtained. They will illuminate your potential. It's time for you to face me. With these 3 fires illuminating your potential, we will see with certainty whether your resolved soul is truly worthy of passing.
May you find mastery.
Oh, it's worthy, bud. You're about to see just how worthy. Someone else is already fighting them. It's gonna be easy.
Far away.
He kicked me.
Closer.
Ah, it was so much easier because there was another person here.
You are most welcome.
Left click on the item you want to receive. So staff, so we can be a Mistweaver or a Brewmaster, or mace, which I think is just a general weapon. It doesn't have a specific specialization. We'll do a mace. Ooh, and an 8-slot bag? You don't say. Oh, the spirit of fire rests in the chamber beyond. Let him feast upon the kindling you've gathered and use the wind to fan his flames. Doing so should endear you to him. Once he is ignited, if he is willing, lead him to the Temple of 5 Dawns, the building standing high in the center of the island.
May the red crate live forever.
Yeah. Keep blabbering, old man. I do enjoy this. Like, I'm enjoying playing this right now, which I'm kind of surprised I'm enjoying this starting area as much as I am. Really reminds me of playing it back in the day. Look at that little dude. Ancient Spirit of Fire. Whoa. Hello. Through the glare, it looks like Woe is smiling. He seems to have warmed up to you. See, I love the aesthetic and the style of this game. It's so cartoony, so a lot of people like kind of toss it off as being too childish, but I love it. It's like, doesn't take itself too seriously. Woe bounces, which I didn't like about Black Desert. I felt like that game was like taking itself way too over the top serious. Woe bounces around excitedly, ready to follow you. Master Shangzi told you to bring Woe to meet him at the Temple of 5 Dawns in the center of the island. Your next destination lies before you. Let's go! Look at him run. Boop, boop. I literally just click W. Oh no. I thought it was gonna let me like control my character with mouse clicks instead of the keyboard. See if we can roll through these. No, I can't. Temple of Fire. Or Spirit of Fire. Why wouldn't you shut those things off? So rude. Now we're going to start exploring the rest of the map. That's why I think I'm way off in my assumption that we'll be out of here by level 10. There's still a lot of area we haven't covered yet. Maybe I can just roll away.
I am out of rage.
Roll away. Oh, it is a strike. Strikes the target with lightning speed, incapacitating them for 4 seconds. Wait, that's not what I was trying to read. Roll. Yeah, okay. So the roll should be able to allow us to get out of aggro if something tries to attack us. I am going the wrong way. Run. It's a path, right? I thought it was going to bring us where we wanted to go, but apparently not. So it's up in the center of the map, he said. So, up there. Go up this way. The stairs, that makes sense. The stairs. What was I thinking? Oh, stop attacking me. Those NPCs will take care of them. They're all excited. You can see them talking as I'm running past. Is that Huo? It is. Well done, Bobby Roosk. Thank you. It was well done. I'm personally very proud of myself and my accomplishments. It is extremely impressive, I know. We're gonna bring this temple spirit back to this temple.
Welcome, Hyo.
He's
the
here.
People have missed your warmth.
Bobby Roosk, you've done very well. Whoa, the Spirit of Fire is here. The temple flames are reignited. You accomplished the challenge I put before you and with seeming ease. There is a greater purpose in bringing Huo to the temple. It is time that I tell you of more things to come.
You have conquered every challenge I put before.
Crucial that we
You
bring
have
all the 3
found
remaining
Hyo
spirits back
and
safely.
brought
I'm
him
too old to do
safely
this
to the
myself, and for all their strengths, both Asa and Yi are single-minded in their
Much
ideals.
larger
You possess all the
problem
qualities of a
we
hero
face
and a balance that they do not. It is you that must do
Shenzhen
this.
Su is
Chew,
in
the Spirit of
pain.
Water,
If
is
we
somewhere
do
in
not
the singing
act,
pools to
the
the
very
east. Find
land
Asa
on
there
which
and
we
work with her to
stand
locate him. We're all
die.
depending on you.
And all of us.
So again, obviously
We
we're
need
not going to
speak
get out of the
to
starting area as
Shenzhen
quickly as I
Su
thought we
and
would.
discover how to heal it. And to do that, we
Every
need the
horizon is a
4
treasure chest, every
elemental
blank map a story
spirits
waiting to be
returned.
told.
Hyo was the first.
First Pandaren explorer Liu Lang disembarked from the mainland on the
I
back of
would
the great
like
turtle
you to
Shenzhen
go to
Su.
the Dilo
His discoveries
farmstead
proved that the
in
rest of the world
search
had survived
of
the Sun
Wu
Ring.
Gao,
He would return to
spirit
Pandaria every 5
of
years, gathering more wanderers and explorers with each visit until his death at the age of 122.
Asa, I
Turtle
want
Shenzhen
you
Su
to
has
go
not
to the
returned to
singing
Pandaria
pools
since.
To find Shu, the spirit of
So this is
water.
all like story that's going on in the background while he's talking to these NPCs. And
And
like I said,
you-
this is...
You shall be the hand that guides us all.
I am the hand that guides us
Speak
all.
with me for a moment before you join Asa at the
Oh,
singing
well good thing I
pools
stayed
to
back,
the
because he
east.
wants to speak to me.
Our greatest trials
Oh, he already said that.
lay before us.
You said you wanted to speak to me, and then you're just gonna blow me off? Rude old man. What the heck? So Asa's to the east. So obviously the starting area is gonna be a little bit longer than I expected, so maybe we'll play a little bit longer, see if we can get out of it. And again, if we can't, the game is free to play up until level 30, so we can always come back another night and take a longer look at it. Honestly, so far out of all the MMOs I've played, this is the only one I would consider coming back and playing longer. Because I just enjoy it. Like, there's something just innately fun about this game. The cartoonness of it, the aesthetics, the humor that they have, the epicness of all of the storylines, even the quests in the main game and the open world of the game, even the little mini quest lines that you do that have their own independent, like, mini stories are, like, really epic. Like, everything has a really epic feel to it. And humorous. But this is what I like about the starting areas for each race. Like, it's worth playing through the starting areas of each one at least once because it's its own independent, like, story. This is a story that you'd only experience if you started playing as a panda character. And each class has its own independent story at the beginning that lasts I thought it was 10 levels, but apparently it's going to be more, because we're already halfway there and we haven't even uncovered half of the map yet. I've never seen gameplay to this before. Really, Take? This game is one of the older MMOs out there. It's been out for about 16 years now. It's fun. I like it. Like, the graphics are really nice. They're appealing. And the environments are all handmade. Like, obviously, they're hand-built by, like, artists. Level artists. So, like, everything has a certain aesthetic to it. Every area of the map. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Take and Snowball. Thanks for dropping in. So, every area of the map in the game has its own aesthetic. And, like, everything in every particular area has an aesthetic that it follows through. So, the quests, the characters, the environment, it all matches the particular aesthetic of that area. Right now we're playing as the Pandarian class, which is like a Shaolin monk. So it's all like very Eastern in its aesthetic. All of the Eastern temples, all of the buildings, all of the characters, it's really cool. And that's something that's been the way they did the game from the very beginning. Like, each class has a city in the main map of the game. So, like, the pandas have, obviously, this area, which is Pandaria. The Taurens have their own city, and it's a different aesthetic. Their buildings look different because they're giant Taurens. And I went the exact wrong way, didn't I? Whoops. The goblins have a goblin city that, like, they're supposed to be engineer focused, so, like, their city is all gadgets. It's the city's even called Gadget Zan. The word gadget with Z-A-N on the end of it. So it's really cool. Every area has its own, like, aesthetic appeal and tone to it. I went the exact wrong way, so now we're gonna go back and go the right way. As soon as I take a drink. So again, it's 16 years old. It's had 6 major expansions, and there's another one coming this year. Have I played through all of the race's starting areas? No, just a few of the Horde characters. I personally refuse to play Alliance characters. That's just a personal thing. I've played Horde characters, and I really like the tone of the Horde. And in my opinion, the Alliance are just a bunch of whiny, poopy, diaper-wearing babies. So, trying out Arena and Sea of Thieves. Cool, have fun.
I do not have a target.
I keep hitting the wrong button. Speed this process up a little bit. I like the Tauren starting area, but it's really bleak. Like, it's really dark colors, dark tone. The Goblin starting area is really fun. Like, it's all based around, like, building gadgets and learning how to get off the Goblin Island, because it's like its own standalone area separated from the main world, like most of these starting areas are. And the whole point of the Goblin starting area is, like, you're trying to find a way to get to the main island. And in the end, your last quest is you build a massive rocket and you launch yourself. And you crash land on the main map, and I just think it's hilarious. I thought the starting areas were 10 levels. But, again, it seems like I was way off in that assumption. Now, I feel like the Goblin starting area was a lot quicker than this one. Hey there, are you the one that brought back the fire spirit? You know it. Was he hot? I bet he was hot. Oh, he was so hot, kid? Of course he was hot. Don't be dumb, dang. So it's like little things like that that happen around you that kind of create the story of the game. I bet you're really strong, though. You could probably kick that bridge right in half if you wanted to. I bet they could for sure kick you over that hill, though. I sure could. You want to see me? I'll boot you right. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, bye. Bye. And then just run off. So, I was kind of hoping to see outside of the starting area for the purposes of the stream tonight, but we're probably not going to get there because I don't want to play for like 3 hours, which at this rate it seems like that's about how long it's going to take us to get through here. So we'll probably come back to this game at a later stream and try to get out of the starting area at least to see what the rest of the game looks like. But we'll play this one a little bit longer. It's good to see you again, Bubby Roos. This is a pool of the skunk, as I'm sure you noticed. Over the many ages of Shenzinsu, animals have died in some of these magical pools. Through their deaths, their spirits are infused into the waters, and anyone touching those waters will take their form. There are several cursed pools here, some more dangerous than others. For meditation, I intend to find a route to locating Shu. In the meantime, you would benefit from practice and discipline. Your first task is the task of all trainees entering the pools. Cross the balance poles to the west and ring the bell without falling into the pool. Should you fall, the pool's curse will make it difficult to get on a pole again, so you'll need to return to the edge of the pool to start over, and beware the cranes. Cross the balance poles and ring the training bell.
Discipline
Will
and
do.
practice lead us to our full
I require
potential.
peace to perform my meditation. Practice your arts while I meditate on Shu's location. Other monks practice balance and combat upon the balancing poles in the surrounding pools. Engage them and defeat them. So, these starting areas are your own independent story. Once you get out of the starting area and get to the main game, the story is the same for everybody. And I mentioned earlier that, like, as you travel through the map of the main game, you can find quest lines that, like, you do one quest, it changes to another quest, and it changes to another quest, and they're like their own independent mini stories. That's probably my favorite part of the whole game. Because otherwise, the overarching story that goes from expansion to expansion, personally, I never paid any attention to it because it was really hard to pay attention to. Like, it's a lot of cutscenes that you have to watch, and having been a new player that came in, like, way late in the story that the expansions follow, it kind of seemed like I was left trying to figure out a lot of it out myself because I wasn't there to experience it in real time as it was happening. Or crane. Ah, no. Jump. Fight. We should fight the way of the Shaolin monk. You are dead. Attack, attack. Oh, what the heck? Another one spawned right behind her. Trying to use that as my jumping stick. So Take said he's never seen this before. Have you ever seen it, Snowball? Like, have you ever seen anybody play it? Seen any videos or anything? Make her way slowly to the middle. Hey, get back here. Watched my sister and brother-in-law play, but that was probably 10 years ago. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've played. Not that long. Probably like 6 years. I made it. I'm so good. Ring the damn bell. On the way back, we're gonna kill more of these guys to finish the other quest. And by kill, I mean spar with them and not kill them. Get it. You don't really have to keep jumping on these, so we can just get down. Down, please. Get down, get down. Now we can go turn these in. Ah, get up there. Not gonna let me. Turn into a frog. Where is she? She's no longer meditating, apparently. She has moved. Oh yeah, she is, okay. I was just looking in the wrong spot.
It's good to see you.
Good, you're a quick study. Even now your skills increase, your footing becomes more sure, your blows strike with more force. Discipline and practice are the keys to reaching our full potential. Now, I was mentioning earlier that, like, this isn't all you do in the game. You can quest pretty much all the way to max level if you want, because there's literally just tons and tons and tons of quests to do in the game. But as you level, you unlock the ability to do new things in the game. Yeah, apparently, not only does Boneworks modding exist, but they just announced like 2 days ago that they're allowing the community to mod Half-Life Alyx too. So there's been like some new levels and stuff to come out for that, which is kind of cool. But like you can unlock the ability to do like battlegrounds where you play PvP against other people and do like massive wars. You unlock the ability to do dungeons and raids, which are big group content that you do with like groups of 10, 15 people together, 20 people. Gather me reeds from the nearby pools. Do not question why I do, and then observe the results.
Until next time.
I'm totally questioning everything, dude. Why? Yeah, official tools. We finally are out for Half-Life Alyx. I just got myself a cool outfit. Give me that reed, boa. I am a frog collecting reeds. What is this game right now? Don't eat me! Don't eat me! I said don't eat me! Leave me alone!
I cannot loot that right now.
What? Already being used by who? There we go. Haha, I broke the curse. I'm not a frog anymore. Model changes, basic texture changes, texture editing is super easy. Pretty cool. Time do I have? I'll probably play this area of WoW for about another 10 minutes and then we'll move on to Guild Wars. I was kind of hoping to get out of the starter area, but obviously that's not happening on tonight's stream. Probably come back to it another night. So the good thing about this is it is free to play up to level 30 for any character. So you could technically play it without paying anything or the subscription fee and play every single race of the game up to level 30 if you really wanted to. It still has one of my friends from my account from forever ago. Hello, the bongo.
Slow down.
No, I'm not. The number of reeds I've ever withstood my might. Step back and let me dispel your doubts.
I go one
I reached level 8. Yikes, you just smashed that reed. Many have tested my claims, and I yet stand proven. Alright, dude, jeez, calm down.
Patience is the highest.
Seems Shu, the spirit of water, had a play companion when he came to the pools throughout the years, an old Pandaren we know as Old Man Lang. Lang moved away from the main town and stopped practicing in the pool some time ago. I am told he lives in a small house northeast of here, up the hill. Lang may know that he has driven Shu away, and where the spirits might be found, go to Lang and ask of Shu. This game looks interesting to say the least, but these kinds of games are really boring to me. Essentially, honestly, MMOs are no different than just a regular RPG. Like, generally, RPGs play the exact same way. You do quests, you go kill things, you find the item that they want you to bring back, and then you go hand them back in. It's just a very, very big, open RPG with many, many other players playing at the same time. So I got a healing spell now, so I could technically become a healer if I wanted to. I'm about to get off of this one and go to Guild Wars. So the big difference between the two, in my opinion, is WoW obviously is very successful in the way it does its game. Again, I'm a big story-focused gamer, so I like the fact that every quest line you find in WoW has its own kind of mini story that you can follow from beginning to end, and then start a new quest line and start a new story. But the interesting thing to me is that everybody can experience the exact same story in the main game. Like, the whole map is filled with stories, but anybody can experience any of them at any given time. Whereas the thing that Guild Wars 2 does differently is as you play through Guild Wars 2 with every individual race in the game, there's an ongoing independent story that you play and that's where you do most of the big leveling and unlocking of your character's skills is actually by completing your story. So we'll go look at that here in a second and just take a look at how that works, because once you're done with this starting area and you get out of it, you never have another independent story in this game ever again. Like, everything that you do is the same exact content everybody else in the game does. Nothing is unique to you. So this is where we're going to stop for World of Warcraft for tonight. We'll probably come back to it another stream just to try and get through the starting area.
Family,
but for now, that is about it on this. So give me 1 second to switch over to the other game. Now I'll be right back. So here we are in Guild Wars 2, and this is my character. He looks like such a beast. Look at his awesome armor. I love it. So aesthetically, between World of Warcraft and this game, I actually appreciate, or I prefer the aesthetics of this game because it's kind of cartoony, but it's also kind of got realism to it too. Like, this guy looks kind of hardcore, whereas World of Warcraft is mostly just cartoony. And that's cool. Like, I like it. It's a lighthearted aesthetic, and it's good for the tone that game takes, because that game is a really lighthearted game. This game has lighthearted moments, but then there's also an ongoing Duck Stomper. Yeah, what's wrong with Duck Stomper? There's also an ongoing storyline that is just a big, massive war going on in this world in Guild Wars 2, which is why it's called Guild Wars. There's just constant warring going on between all the different factions of the game. And your personal story that you play as with your individual class shows you how your individual story affects that war that's going on and how it affects the world. And that's one of the things I really like about this game. So I actually will make a new character. And one of the classes I've been wanting to check out that I never have is the Asura. I just think they look really cool. So we'll try these guys. I want to be an engineer, because these guys look like they're tinkerers. They look like they're scientifically advanced race. We'll try that. Actually, I'm an engineer with the other guy too, which is kind of funny. Really don't, I mean, they're supposed to be short, so let's just make them short. Physique. I like his blue shorts though. It's looking cool. It's kind of a chunker. I like this guy. Go with this guy. Oh, that's cool looking. He's like a lizard looking dude. Let me go turn my fan on real quick. It's awfully hot in here. He's like a lizard looking dude. We don't want an afro. I actually like the bald guy, to be honest with you. Go with bald. That's kind of cool looking. He looks like a cartoon. I like this guy. He's cool looking. Ears. Oh, I like the chomped up ears. He looks like he's a war-hardened veteran. Let's make him smaller, though. Didn't really seem to make much of a difference on him. There we go. Alright, don't really care about any of this, except I do want to make his eyes blue, because I like blue. I don't care about any of that. Care about any of that. There's actually a lot of character customization in this. I forgot about that. Oh, and next. So universal multi-tool, it's got a wrench, it's got a screwdriver, it's got a spade, it's got a lateral displacer. It doesn't matter what you need, this pack has a gadget for every situation. Nothing sees the world more clearly than a soaring eagle. These goggles allow its wearer to see just as well. Or the details matter, whether you're double checking the wiring on your new explosive or changing the gear shaft on your favorite turret, this monocle lets you see what needs to be seen. So when you do your personal story throughout the game in this game, your personal story is done in segments. So like every 5 levels or so, sometimes it's like 10, you get another quest to do in your character's personalized story. And it is actually personalized, because depending on what choices you make in your story, it will change the outcome of what quests you do after that. So even if you play the same class as another player, you could potentially see a completely different story evolve than another player playing the same class. That's why I kind of honestly prefer this over World of Warcraft, because it does have a long-term personal story that you play through the game all the way to max level, whereas World of Warcraft story is just isolated to your independent story being your starting area, and then after that it's just everybody experiences the entire same story throughout the game. I'm charming, no one can resist me when I'm at my best. I know just what to say to lighten the mood. I'm dignified even when up to my ears in mud. It's what makes people respect me. A serious, thoughtful demeanor is the route to success. I'm ferocious, threatening violence. No, I'm charming. Doesn't he look charming? Look at him. I'm in the College of Statistics. Builders and architects make up the College of Statistics, and we build to last. Some call us conservative, but we excel at creating new designs using old materials in innovative ways. College of Dynamics produces gizmo makers extraordinaire. Energy, enthusiasm, and boldness are our best qualities. We believe in leveraging the expendable nature of all things. If a prototype explodes, it isn't a failure unless the lesson goes unlearned. We're synergetics. We study how energy patterns form and alchemical fractals propagate. Few beyond our college understand the philosophical and mystical complexities of our interests. I like dynamics. Transatmospheric converter. Wow. Most golems are powerhouses designed for warfare. They show absolutely no subtlety or originality of design, so this is my first invention, huh? But unmitigated joy to be able to change the weather at my whim. Or an infinity ball. They said it was a toy, a pipe dream, and a waste of resources. They were wrong. My invention predicts the future. So if it doesn't predict it correctly every time, that's irrelevant. Would it be giving me an advantage? Reply hazy, ask again. I like that. We'll go with that. My first advisor, the one who taught me almost everything I know. So all of this is background for my character's story. So that's what we're choosing right now. Good old Master Brong taught me the benefits of superior firepower. He liked to say when it comes to besting the enemy, there's no such thing as overkill. Mistress Zinga taught me the best form of magic is good old-fashioned luck. Planning ahead is for ninnies who think they can predict every possible outcome. The future is mutable, go with the flow. Doesn't really match my future ball that I have. Master Blip was known for his redundancies as well as his redundancies. He often said your first try should never be your last, especially if it succeeded. You can always succeed bigger next time. I like that. Counselor Kania wasn't just another bureaucrat, she was an apolitical Parius Scientologist. She was fond of saying always bring a witness, preferably an expendable one. You never know when you'll need a scapegoat. I like Blip. Bubby. Go with the tried and true. Bubby's already in use. Come on, man. Be roost. Alright.
I am Asura. I personify genius.
It's super hot in here for some reason.
My ancestors were driven from the heart of the earth, forced to live in this bright, wide world. Of course, we've excelled. We exceed expectations in everything we do. With Golem and Gate and Arcane Crystal, we have asserted our supremacy in this land and made it our own. We will not move another inch. Not for dragons, not for anyone.
But especially not for dragons.
The eternal alchemy is a fluid contrivance, ever evolving,
Be right back.
ever fluctuating. I believe in the power of transformation. I belong to the College of Dynamics. Dynamics crews thrive on permutation. We're always advancing, morphing into something new. I'm the lever, and my excellent crew is the fulcrum. Together, we will move the world. We will force reason from chaos. I've just been informed that defected golems, not mine, of course, are causing havoc out in the jungle.
Not mine, of course. I'm too much of a good engineer
Whatever
to cause
the
havoc.
imbeciles outside the city have broken, I'll
Imbeciles?
fix and make my name doing so. I'll lead the masses through metamorphosis to an improved future.
Who would skip this?
This is my story.
So, already we're seeing a bigger emphasis on personal story here than World of Warcraft. And the stories are very well done. They're voiced, there are a lot of cutscenes, a lot of cinematics. Stuff that WoW doesn't really do in the long term of the game. They only really concentrate on story during like raids and big world of events leading up to expansions, but other than that you don't really have a whole lot of story interaction outside of starting areas for each one of your classes. Hello. So there's other new players here. So one thing about Guild Wars 2 is it's actually kind of known through the community as being like the one big game that really stands next to WoW as a WoW contender, World of Warcraft contender. And one of the cool things about Guild Wars 2 is it has a really high quality game, a high quality production value, and a very big game with a lot of content in it. And it's had 2 major expansions with another one that was just announced recently coming out. And you don't have to pay a monthly subscription for it. You just buy the game. You buy the expansions when they come out. And right now, actually, the game itself is free to play to an extent, but then you can also get the expansions right now bundled together. So you used to have to buy both of the expansions separately for like $30 a piece. Now you buy the second expansion and it comes with the first one bundled in. Hold down the right mouse button and move your mouse to control your camera. Okay. Continue to hold the button while moving. Oh no! What the heck? Kill me. Is that what that does? Yeah, elixir, drink elixir to heal yourself and gain protection. I've never played as this character, so I have no idea what's going on. I mean, obviously the story said that there's golems out here that are destroying the place and we're supposed to stop them because those imbeciles who made them messed it up. Crushing these golems, dude. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if it's actually warm in my apartment or if I'm starting to get sick because I'm starting to get like a severe headache right now, but we're just gonna keep pushing through it. There's a catastrophic glitch in the golem control system. In brief, they've all gone completely loopy. Find Peacemaker Gezi, she'll get to the bottom of this. Peacemakers, they're no help. Sure they are. Well, some of them are. Okay, a few are, but Gezi's one of the good ones. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Meet with Peacemaker Gezi, and finding quests in this game is probably one of the easiest games out of all the MMOs I've ever played to find your quests, because they make it very obviously marked on the map. Oh, that doesn't sound good. I'm not sure why I just suddenly got hit with a massive headache like in the last 10 minutes.
What's going on?
Just what it looks like. These golems have gone mad. Zoja suspects someone tampered with them. And by someone, she means the inquest.
Zoja's rarely wrong. Don't tell her I said rarely, by the way. If it is the inquest, she's going to need help. Where can I find her?
At the malfunctioning gate that's spitting out these deranged golems. She claims she could feel them on the other side of the gate laughing at us.
Not for long. I'm going to help Zojja shut down the problem at its source. Thanks for the information.
Move along.
Thanks for the information. So these little shaking boxes are usually, yeah, so it's like a daily login bonus. And sometimes if you haven't logged in a long time, like I hadn't up until like the other day when I re-downloaded this, I had all kinds of stuff waiting for me, like birthday rewards for having a character for a certain amount of years. I was missing like birthday rewards 4, 5, 6, and 7 that I all got at the same time the other day when I logged in. So another cool thing about this game and the way they do the world and the story with everybody working together is as the game plays out, like we're already in the main map of the game. We're just in our character's starting area. So it's not like World of Warcraft where it isolates you in your own closed off area as a starting character. You're already in the world. Like this is the whole map of the world. My other character that I have, the Char character that you saw in the main menu, he starts out somewhere around, I'm trying to remember, like this area here, I believe? No, Ascalon, this area. Yeah, the Black Citadel is where I'm at with that character right now, as a matter of fact. So, like, this whole map is huge, obviously, and each character's race has a different area dedicated to them that has its own aesthetic appeal, just like World of Warcraft. But you don't start cut off from the rest of the world in this game. You start off right in the main world map. Now you do have to do a little bit of story to get unlocked out of this area to get to the rest of the world. But as soon as you get into the rest of the world, you can literally go anywhere and join your other friends, no matter what race or class that they're playing as. Destroy the Inquest golems. Okay. This has a lot of action combat, as you can see. Like, there's a lot of dodging involved. There's a lot of moving around as you're attacking. World of Warcraft does that a little bit too, but not nearly as much in my opinion.
Is that all you've got? I've made sturdier golems in my sleep.
So one of the things they do that's really cool in this game that I like is they do like little map events, not so much world events, but there are events that happen on the map that you'll see an alert on the map. It will have an icon in a certain area of the map where you go to, and every character who runs into that area, it's like Final Fantasy XIV's game. Any character who runs into that area is now working together to achieve a goal in a quest line. So anybody who's within that area of that quest will share experience. They'll share ticks for how many things you've killed working towards the quest. It's just, in this game, to me, a lot better than World of Warcraft. It like promotes working together as a world of players instead of doing your own individual thing.
It takes more than a giant rampaging inquest golem to get
Because
the
with
better
WoW,
of
really
me.
the only time they
modest too. Well, you've earned a dash of praise.
promote or push people working in
Crews
groups
around the
is
city would kill for the assistance
specifically
of
in
an
the
inventor with
dungeons
your
and the
talents.
raids.
You should ask around.
Whereas in this game, it's
Make
always
yourself
promoting working
invaluable.
with other players together.
Not a bad idea. Thanks.
Content guide points the way to nearby events, renowned hearts, scouts, and unexplored areas. Check here if you've ever lost and looking for something to do. Explosive intellect completed. Reward, I got a gun. I unlocked a new skill, Poison Dart Volley. Hey Overshot, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. Level 2. Got my hero panel. Just received a weapon. Your hero panel displays items from your inventory that you can equip, as well as your character's stats.
Surely we put our
And look at my cool looking dude. All this stuff that he has.
I'm willing to lend my extensive expertise in
Stat increases, your stats have improved. Yes, typical leveling up stuff. Weapon skill 2 unlocked, which was the Poison Dart Valley. New profession skill unlocked. You will get new profession skill unlocked at level 5. So this is another thing I really like about Guild Wars 2 is it gives you like a layout of what's going to happen as you level up. What's going to happen next. What will happen in your next story when your next story unlocks, which is level 10. And then 5 hero points to spend on my skill tree when I'm at level 11. So here's the dailies that you can do. Welcome back, enjoy bonus experience and rewards during the welcome back event. So that was literally like my beginning starting area. So now I'm opened up to the entire map. You'll see that the red walls that were around me are gone. I can go anywhere I want to at any time now. And another thing in this game is questing isn't so much what you do for leveling. In this game is more geared towards exploring. So anytime you see a node on the map like this, Old Golem, Factory Waypoint, Lock Waypoint, every area of the map has all these different waypoints. Every time you find one, it's a teleportation. Like, you can use it to teleport at any time by using a little bit of money. But every time you find one, it's also experience. And it's a really cool idea to me. It's a lot cooler to level up exploring the world than it is just doing random quests, killing things, and grabbing items to bring back.
Welcome to Metrica Province. You'll find private laboratories all over where our crews work on dangerous research. And we
so this heart is one of the map events, all of these hearts. So those are the events that when anybody who's a player character gets within range of that event, you're all working towards a common goal, and you'll all get experience and level up from doing it together.
Our researchers could use someone with your talents.
And each area of the map has them strewn out everywhere.
Nefarious events in the world. Don't let these opportunities pass by you. Jump in and help. As you gad about, you'll encounter our Magi Matter transportive devices, more commonly known as waypoints. They're mini-gates that, for a trivial fee, transport you across great distances. They're the second most convenient way to travel next to our gates.
We'll go do a couple of those just to show you what they're like.
That won't work. Instead, we use ionomancers
I missed
render
it.
the magic inert.
So there are also, on top of like exploration and leveling quests in this game, there's a lot of little secrets that they hide in the game, which is cool for an MMO because they don't usually do stuff like that in an MMO game. But like these little, this is a really basic example of it, but they have these massive jumping quests or jumping puzzles throughout the map, where if you can successfully get through an entire jumping puzzle, that's like a really basic example of one. But some of them go like really long. They take like 45 minutes to do the entire puzzle. If you can get to the end of it, you get like treasure chests and special loot and stuff like that. It's really cool. Watching the continuation of MMO reviews. How have you been overshot? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to push through this headache, but it's actually getting worse and worse. I'm starting to not feel that great, so we're gonna try and play a little bit more content here, but we might actually have to call the stream short. I'm not really feeling that great. So you'll see that I'm near this area now. Support Doula's Goalmancing research. So it pops up on my screen. Experiment on inactive golems. Repair golem control panels, subdue haywire golems, and organize toolboxes. And anytime you do any of that stuff, it builds this meter here until it gets to the end. And once the meter is filled, you've completed that area objective and you get bonus experience points for it. So you'll see it filled up a little bit.
Explosion, damage,
oh God, it's gonna blow.
System integrity compromised.
Guys, I gotta call the stream. I'm not feeling very good at all. We'll come back to this game again another night and take a closer look at it. But generally, I like this a lot better than World of Warcraft. Like the way that you work together with other players all the time, the way your personal story carries all the way to the max level. Your individual story, depending on your choices, changes, so you see a different story than anybody else sees as you play through the game. It's a really cool take on it, where it makes it a more personalized experience, but you still get to share it with everybody else in the world. But for now, I'm going to end it. We'll come back to this later, and we'll try and get through a little bit of the story area. But thanks for joining in when you did. Sorry for having to cut it short, but I'm just not feeling very well at all. But like I said, we will definitely come back to this. We're just going to put it on hold for now and shelf it and come back later. But thanks for joining. Hope everybody has a good night, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.